Welcome to this episode of MOGAR TV. I'm Staff Sergeant Ty Stafford with the 70th Mobile Public Affairs Detachment. In this episode, we'll be reviewing our accomplishments in the past year. Since we first aired this next package on the opening of the new Museum of Missouri Military History, we have more than doubled our visitors from the previous year, with more than 5,000 visitors in its first 7 months.
On Sunday, December 7th, 2014, the Missouri National Guard opened the new Museum of Military History in Jefferson City.
Well, today, thanks to a lot of hard work by a lot of dedicated folks, soldiers, airmen, and civilians, that hidden gem that we had up on the hill on Thomas Hall is being transformed now into a crown jewel that you see here today. With this new expanded museum, we have more space to tell more of the Guard story.
The new museum features over 6,400 square feet of exhibit space. Included in that space is a fully restored UH-1 Huey helicopter.
Since the early 19th century, Missouri citizens, soldiers, and airmen have established a track record of success, serving in every major American conflict.
They found the Jeep that's behind me. They found it at Camp Clark in a barn. As a matter of fact, the staff car too, I think, was from Clark. They found them both in a barn. They were just covered with hay.
Gail Szynski was thrilled to see a 1940s-era Willys Jeep in the museum. For her, it was like seeing an old friend. Her father and uncle had restored 2 of them when she was a teenager.
I always felt like that people were jealous because there I drove around in a little Army Jeep, and so it was a lot of fun to go and pick up kids and my friends, and we'd go drive around in it. If he was still here, I think he would find all of this fascinating to see this sitting here.
The new museum was made possible by volunteers' passion for military history and their dedication to detail.
I'd call labor love, as silly as that may sound. But it is. You know, I love doing this. Charles loves doing this. Major Brown loves it. You know, we all do.
We're not building a monument for those of us here today. We're building a monument for our children.
General Danner's vision for this museum has really taken shape, and I think the public will be here, come to see the museum and get a real appreciation of the Missouri Army National Guard. I think this museum, one of the most important things that it could do is to do a partnership with local retired veterans so that they can come here and basically explain to the kids, instead of it just being a picture in a case, bring it to life, put a sight, a smell, a texture, just really bring it to life for them.
Well, it gives them a sense that this is the real thing. This isn't what you see at a theater or online or something. These are real people, these are real things, this really happened.
Whether this is sitting in a museum or it's sitting in a basement, it's the soldiers that bring it to life.
So we owe it not only to the veterans of previous wars, but today's soldiers and airmen to preserve and display their history.
The new museum is over 7 times the size of the old museum and features some new technology that the old museum didn't have.
It's a really good feeling to have a top-notch museum facility where we have proper space to showcase the artifacts, to have the proper climate control. That's a very, very big issue with old artifacts. Our lighting in here is proper lighting. It's LED lights. They do not emit UV rays or heat. So those are big issues you have to worry about, and that all helps with preserving the artifacts so people can continue to come and see these things over the many, many years.
There has also been an influx of artifact donations surrounding all of the new publicity.
People that have visited here today have offered more artifacts for the museum. We've had people bring in some more things just this week where they've saw the news releases and things on Facebook where they saw the museum and they would say, oh, would you like this piece, a photograph or whatever? And so we're always looking for things like that to help tell the story of Missouri's military history. It's been a long journey. We're ready to go. We're open and welcome the public.
Since we first aired this package, the Homeland Response Force was visited by members of a Panamanian delegation as part of an exchange program on disaster response.
We're currently at Camp Gruber, Oklahoma, conducting a Homeland Response Force exercise to test all our units to make sure that we're prepared for any kind of domestic disturbance, chemical attack, or anything that the communities might need our support. You know, our goals in an exercise like this is to identify our weaknesses and capitalize on our strengths, and then make sure that we document that and hand off those lessons learned to the other HERFs.
This was an exercise where we simulated showing up to a tornado that had touched down, and there were some collapsed structures, and there were casualties walking around. There were some that were walking and able to, you know, kind of help themselves to our decon line, and then there were others that were trapped in structures that we assisted in locating and getting them out to safety. Recon is our first team that goes out, and they are the ones that would, you know, basically kind of size up the situation, let us know what we would be walking into. We have different skill sets, different specialties. We have teams that are specialized in breaching and breaking, shoring, ropes mission. Everyone here on the team, we know our job, but there's everyone can always learn. This was our first day actually in the exercise, so we had trainers and instructors that were just giving us different tips on how we could improve. So we're building on our knowledge and just getting better every day.
That's our log-in, log-out section. They're going to catalog and record information on the patient, collect any valuables for storage, things like that, check for identification. But the big picture there, the important part of that is accountability. So we know how many patients we've taken in and how many we're putting out. Depending on if they're walking wounded and they can move under their own power, versus if they're a non-ambulatory casualty. If they're ambulatory, they'll be directed into an undress tent, where they will, where our personnel will sort of coach them through the process of disrobing, so that will remove about 80% of the contamination. From there, they'll be directed into a shower tent. It's where more of our personnel will coach them through the decontamination process. There are sprayers along the wall, so there's constant mist being projected into that tent. As a non-ambulatory casualty, they'll be on a backboard. The setup is essentially the same as the ambulatory tent, only there is a series of rollers that run the length of the line. Our personnel will be directly involved in their decontamination at this point. In the undress tent, a series of safety scissors and safety cutters will be used to disrobe the casualty. They'll be rolled into the shower tent, at which point our personnel will go through a standard procedure to spray the entirety of the casualty and the backboard to make sure they're not tracking the contaminant further into the clean area.
One of the first things we establish is our hot zone triage, because we as medical, we have 47 personnel, but we're divided in almost every element. So we have 10 people that immediately go to search and extraction. Those medics would go down range, and they begin with the actual search and extraction teams of the Army Guard, going into the rubble piles, checking for patients, assessing them, triaging them in their full suits and gear, and then getting them transported back up to the hot zone triage. It could be anything. It's kind of an all-hazards response, so it could be anything from a biological to a chemical agent. It could be a blast injury. It could be crush injuries. The scenario we're working with today is actually a tornado. It could be any number. It could just be walking wounded with bumps and abrasions, all the way down to very severe patients that are medically unstable. The makeup is very real. It looks exactly like what you would see in a blast or a crush injury, fallen structure. So the doctors and physicians, the nurses, the medics, they're able to get that real sense of realism. Even though they're reading their patient's condition from a card, the patients are acting out, they're yelling, they're carrying on just to match what their injuries are. So the role playing is excellent. It gives that layer of chaos that you have to be able to account for and be used to working with.
Our job is to secure the entire footprint. So we have people out in the suits in what we'd call the hot zone, helping keep order and a good flow of traffic coming through the gate. We also have 4 people out there helping the aid and litter team, so helping the medical personnel with the influx of civilian traffic. We also have people in what we'd call the cold zone patrolling and make sure there's no issues, just keeping security, keeping order. We have people located at each of the ECPs to keep the traffic flow, keep people out that don't need to be in, let the people that do need to come in.
It's a very small select that do this mission, but it's an important one, and with National Guard's visibility in the community, this just enhances it, and it makes it a very viable mission.
From pilots to cooks, this past year, Guardsmen conducted a wide variety of annual training.
Soldiers from the Missouri National Guard gathered in various areas of the country to complete their annual training this summer. Infantry soldiers from the 1st of the 138th Infantry Battalion in Perryville, Missouri, spent time on training lanes honing their soldier skills at Fort Chaffee in western Arkansas.
Today was a cordon search mission. We knew we had information or intel on a high-value target, possible IED manufacturing plant somewhere within the town. Our intel told us it was most likely Building 6. And as far as that, we came in, we set up our inner and outer cordons to keep people from leaving and entering the town. And once we had set that up, that was my mission as far as surge squad. The other squads came in, we took Building 7, set up a 240 machine gun overwatch position, and then the other squads went into Building 6 and seized that high value target and all the intel pertaining to an ID manufacturing plant.
The 2 weeks of annual training provide an opportunity for units to put into practice what they have worked on during their weekend drills throughout the year.
The way that it benefits us is that we're able to work with just squad elements and as a platoon as a whole. So as we're doing that, we're working on our movements, we're double checking with muzzle awareness, clearing buildings, making sure there's no tripwires, stuff like that.
Soldiers from the 1st of the 135th Attack Battalion from Whiteman Air Force Base traveled to Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. Soldiers performed their jobs on helicopters in new environments and under different terrain.
Coming to Fort McCoy has been great. I think it builds a lot of unit cohesion when you actually move out from your home station and put into a situation where you maybe feel a little more stressed or a little uncomfortable because you don't know where everything is, you're not used to everything. And I think that really trains people and prepares our guys for any other situation we might be deployed.
Annual training is an opportunity for seasoned veterans to pass along their knowledge and skills to junior service members.
We have an awesome group of people. We have, everyone that ranges from, basic entry level, just out of basic training, to these soldiers that are so experienced, that have been in with this unit 20, 30, 40 years of their life. They're still here. Their experience and expertise is what makes us so special because of what we do.
Junior soldiers appreciate the guidance of their senior leaders.
With having older leadership with more experience in our unit, they're able to show us things that we wouldn't have normally got to see on our own. They will be able to tell us things about different components that they might have seen happen in the past to break it and show us how we might be able to fix that and keep that problem from happening again.
Soldiers from the 880th Engineer Hull Team from Perryville took this opportunity in Fort Chaffee to remove debris and to clear way for the other units.
Currently a 12-foot road. We're expanding it to 20 foot by clearing and grubbing trees. We went through and we cleared all the trees out, and then we took out 12 inches of topsoil. We're backfilling it with 8 inches of 3-inch minus, topped with 4 inches of inch minus, and then we're going to cap the whole road with 3 inches inch minus. You can actually get your soldiers on equipment, and they can actually move dirt, and you get real-time experience.
Soldiers from the 35th Engineer Brigade used facilities at their home base in Fort Leonard Wood to use virtual training systems to enhance soldier skills.
Today they're doing the dismounted soldier training system. So it's basically what it is it uses the virtual battle space. And what that lets them do is the soldiers, you can see them wearing the suits there. So when they get in, they're kind of in a virtual world. If they take a knee, their character takes a knee inside the simulation. What it lets them do is they can practice all these breaching tactics and just all the normal soldier skills that they have to do out in the field, and they can do it in here without using ammo and having to do transportation. Inclement weather isn't an issue. So there's just a lot of expense that's cut out of it.
Soldiers from the 229th Multifunctional Medical Battalion located in Jefferson City conducted annual training in Springfield to keep up their medical skills.
Very important to know is part of the basic medical skill set, being able to maintain breathing and be able to manage cardiac response. We have to do a lot of stuff to keep up our medical skills, and one of those things to keep up our medical skills is we have to do what they call basic lifesaver course, CPR. So basically we're doing CPR classes today, and basically what it consists of is you're going to do CPR on an adult, a child, an infant, and the use of an AED and rescue breathing, as well as taking care of soldiers that are, an individual that's choking.
Soldiers spend time each summer doing annual training, as it's important to maintaining our soldiers' skill sets. These are just a few of the units from the Missouri National Guard who spent the summer training. Reporting for the Missouri National Guard, I'm Sergeant Ellis McDaniels.
It's been a busy week for the Missouri Air National Guardsmen. Nearly 200 citizen soldiers from the 131st Bomb Wing spent their annual training at National Guard Post Camp Clark. The training camp provides realistic scenarios to prepare guardsmen for what they could see during state emergency duty. The Air National Guard's federal mission is to maintain well-trained, properly equipped units available for quick mobilization during war, and also provide assistance during national emergencies, such as natural disasters.
Primarily Monday through Friday, or on an average guard drill weekend, we train for our federal mission. We do that a lot. So this brings it full circle, so our traditional guardsmen as well as our full-time folks have the advantage of focusing strictly on state emergency duty.
This is the second year of the 131st attending Camp Clark for their annual training. The 131st Maintenance Group introduced the camp last year.
Switches from safe to semi or 3-round burst and watch your sectors of fire.
We've added some additional training, gotten some more realistic training from the medical side, and being able to save lives and rescue folks. That's gotten more intense, more people involved in that. We're actually expanding it, so we did it for 2 weeks instead of just one. So instead of training approximately 100 people, we hope to train about 150 to 200 this year.
Camp Clark provides the perfect opportunity for guardsmen to gain experience in disaster response.
Originally, when they approached the scene, you just hear people screaming, hollering. Sometimes you had some debris landing because it's a simulated tornado. Power lines down, and at the same time they also have obstacles to go around, so we actually had boards up in the middle of them trying to maneuver these litters in and out of these buildings. We did have a patient upstairs, so they had to figure out how to buddy carry a patient from upstairs downstairs safely.
The Air National Guard will meet today's challenges by shaping combat-ready, adaptable airmen. Missouri Guardsmen have the unique mission to not only defend freedom worldwide, but to also help and serve America at home.
I feel responsible for the people around me. So being in the National Guard and being local, that allows me to do more to help the people around me.
Training camps such as Camp Clark keep the 131st Guardsmen ready for any state or federal mission. Staff Sergeant Elise Rich, 131st Bomb Wing, Missouri Air National Guard.
Since the opening of the Family Resiliency Center, we've held our first wedding and sworn in a Jewish chaplain, the Missouri National Guard's first in a quarter century.
The Missouri National Guard's Family Resiliency Center has opened its doors at the Ike Skelton Training Site in Jefferson City.
Through this place, may service members and their supporters find the skills needed to meet and overcome any challenge they face. Through this Resiliency Center, may not only the Missouri National Guard be strengthened, but may both families and communities be blessed throughout the great state of Missouri.
Today is a banner day as we mark the culmination of a project that reflects our organization's commitment to the well-being of soldiers and airmen, their family members, and our veteran community. Resilience is our inner fortitude and strength to face life's challenges and to learn how to grow through adversity. Thus, a resiliency center is a place for us to take care of the soldier, or as I say it from my boots, SOULDIER, a soldier.
This wouldn't be possible or even happen if it wasn't for the vision of General Danner. And those of you who know him, that's just one of his 100,000 visions he has a day.
Shortly after Major General Steve Danner became the Adjutant General of Missouri, he had the vision to build a venue where the Missouri National Guard could hold their own events and began the process of finding the funds for the project.
Over these last 14 years of war, 14 of our own guardsmen have perished on active duty, 7 killed in action. It was tough for me to do what I thought proper memorial services out on a drill floor or in our auditorium. Unfortunately, because of budget constraints and other issues, state or federal money wasn't available, so a group of us gathered one evening and we just decided we would form the Missouri National Guard Foundation and we would raise the money from private sources.
Formed in 2010, the Missouri National Guard Foundation, a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation, seeks to further enhance support services for Missouri National Guard members and their families.
That there are many people across the state that believe in the goals and the mission of the National Guard, as evidenced by the support. Individual donations of $5 or $10, hundreds of people wrote checks, and we had a large number of corporate supporters that stepped forward to help us to fill that fundraising goal.
And we very much appreciate their support. They got us over the hump to do this.
But when I look at the outside of the building, I'm reminded that it's not so much what's on the outside here, but about all the caring and healing that will take place inside these walls.
They want to pay back for the freedoms that they have, and they want to help the soldiers out for what they've done for their freedoms.
At Ameren, we realize that supporting projects like the Missouri National Guard Resiliency Center, it's not just the right thing to do, it's our duty to give back to those who serve.
We are very grateful for that commitment to the National Guard.
We figured out how the community can come alongside the Missouri National Guard and create things that the government cannot or will not do. The pathway might be the greatest thing that we've learned.
The center will be utilized as a venue for weddings and military ceremonies, but also serve as a space for spiritual well-being, counseling, and behavioral health care.
Health in all its dimensions is a precursor to readiness. If we're not healthy and we're not strong, we're just not ready.
Families struggle when they come home and people have changed. If we can step in and keep families together, that's great.
We purposefully didn't want to identify it too closely with any religious affiliation, but it's also a place for people to come together to celebrate and to worship.
We can come and we can learn and we can grow, and we can come and reflect and just draw strength from the beauty of nature. And I think with a strong heart, then we go back down this hill and out into the world to do our mission.
It turned out beautiful. It's got a great view, and it's a good place to come and reflect and revitalize yourself and become whole again.
The center will be the new home for many of the offices from the Missouri National Guard's Enhanced Resiliency Program.
Now we can actually begin the work of mental health and counseling services and other services to our soldiers, airmen, and their families.
Personally, I was just very proud to see my husband's dream come to fruition.
It took some time over the last 5 years, but that's part of being in the Guard. Always ready, always there.
It is now my honor to introduce the Commander of the Missouri National Guard, the Adjutant General, Major General Steve Danner.
Thank you, Staff Sergeant Stafford, and thank you, viewers, for watching this episode of MoGuard TV. During this season of MoGuard TV, we've covered 2 lasting monuments to the service and sacrifices of Missouri Guardsmen with the opening of the Museum of Missouri Military History and the Family Resiliency Center. The new museum boasts 6,500 square feet of space and houses displays that feature more than 200 years of Missouri's history. The museum is free and open to the public. We encourage everyone to come visit. With the opening of the Family Resiliency Center, we now have a sacred space for spiritual well-being, counseling, and behavioral health care services. The center will also provide a place where social gatherings and military ceremonies can be held. This season, MoGuard TV also covered the annual training of our Army and Air Guard units. Every Guardsman is required to attend 15 days of annual training each year, which ensures that we can support both our state and federal mission and maintain a culture of readiness. MoGuard TV also featured our Homeland Response Force, one of 10 National Guard HRFs located in each FEMA region across the nation. The Homeland Response Force's missions include responding to mass casualties in chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, or explosive disasters. The future of the Missouri National Guard has never been brighter thanks to the service and sacrifices of our Guardsmen and their families. On behalf of Governor Jay Nixon and our 12,000 soldiers and airmen, thank you for your support.